Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruffley, McCulloch and Tam McManus back with us. Who takes a holiday during the season? Well, Tam and Ruffy, but Lee is always committed. A true professional who realises it's a season where you've got to work hard every day and be available. Anyway, nice to have you back. Must have been raining. You don't look you don't look as if it's been a great day for tanning. Anyway, we'll discuss that among lots of other issues while Tam was away. Scottish football wasn't quiet, as you're about to find out. Here's what's on the agenda.
Philippe Clement explains why Rangers couldn't play the postponed game against Dundee before the Old Firm derby amid criticism over the date of the fixture.
I don't think the option was there because Dundee needed also time to fix their field to be playable.
Brendan Rodgers has revealed medics will decide what role Daizen Maeda will play in the remaining games this season after picking up a hamstring injury. Aberdeen branded Scotland's version of VAR not fit for purpose after the club learned the Hawkeye system failed in the lead-up to Bojan Miovski's disallowed goal against Livingston. Stephen Robinson warned St Mirren won't view the league clash with Celtic this weekend as a free hit, despite the Paisley side having already confirmed a top 6 spot.
I always repeat myself, and you need a little bit of luck. You need things to go your way. And people said to me we were lucky last week. You can't be lucky for 33 games. We are where we deserve to be.
Yeah, St Mirren now pushing for a European spot now that they've secured top 6, so we'll discuss that. But to the main point of consternation, Scottish football, it's just the game here keeps on giving week in, week out, Ruffy, and Dundee and this whole farce is now going to be subject to an SFA hearing. Have you ever witnessed anything like it?
I have to be perfectly honest, unfortunately, Peter, I have witnessed something at it. If you remember a couple of years, we were pitch at Partick Thistle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
you were sharing it with the rugby
team? We were sharing it with Queen's Park, and the weather was absolutely horrendous, and there was nothing we could do about it because the games kept coming and coming. But as far as Dundee's concerned, they've got a problem with the pitch right halfway through the season. You know, I don't think they had any time to do with anything with it either, so it's extremely unfortunate, but I think whatever comes their way they deserve.
Yeah, well, the Rangers manager Philippe Clement was far from happy. He was asked a barrage of questions on this issue. Kerry Pollock was there.
At the Rangers training centre a day earlier than usual due to Rangers game with Dundee being postponed due to the weather in Dundee, but the Rangers boss Philippe Clement says he put all his cards on the table in order for the game to be played sooner rather than later.
So, no, it's pointed at the club that they didn't do the right things to have a decent football field, and it happened already several times this season. So that needs to be solved, otherwise you cannot play the game. And I understand also that teams like Hibs and Motherwell also feel really bad about this situation. And that could have been avoided last week by saying, okay, we take a decision earlier or we play at another venue. We were even prepared to play today, so short ahead of the Ross County game to play on Thursday. If Wednesday was not possible.
The question was brought up today whether the game was eligible to be played before the Celtic game at Ibrox last weekend, and Clement says it was due to the pitch not being in the correct condition once again in Dundee.
I don't think the option was there because Dundee needed also time to fix their field to be playable. And it was on the edge against Motherwell. If I hear the Motherwell manager, it was over the edge even, because it was not ready to play.
Rangers will now switch their attention to Ross County this weekend in Dingwall. Kick-off is this Sunday at 12 o'clock.
OK, let's get into the meat and bones of this, because quite simply, somewhere along the line, somebody's not telling the truth. That's one element of it, Ruffy. The second element is obviously the state of the pitch and what condition and what preparations for that pitch have been put in place over a longer period of time, not just that 2 weeks leading up to the Dundee Rangers game. So there's so many different layers to this that we need to get into. First and foremost, the immediate thing that I think should have happened is the SPL should have taken it out of Dundee's hands and decided that this game was going to be played elsewhere because they needed clarity on the fixtures before the SPFL splits.
Yeah, well, it's a typical example of what's been happening when there's any major decisions have to get made. We don't have anybody at the top of the tree making the decisions and telling the teams, look, this is what's happening, this is what we're doing. Because if you leave it to the teams, quite rightly, they all look after themselves. Obviously, Rangers want it when they want it, and Dundee want it when they want it played, because they've got games coming up that could affect both of them. So it needs somebody of some authority to say, right, this is what's happening.
Well, I've heard from a number of sources. Now, this again will be debated, and some people might throw it out, but I've heard from a number of sources prior to it that, the suggestion was that Rangers didn't want it to be played. Then the counter of that is you look at the pitch, you look at the rain, and ahead of that Celtic game, it just couldn't be played. Everybody was up there looking at the state of the pitch. Then when you go back to the rescheduled game, Lee, again it's not played, and the Dundee club secretary Eric Drysdale said the pitch was suffering from the effects of climate change, which again has left you slightly bemused.
Yeah, because I don't think Dundee United have got climate change 100 yards away. It is very embarrassing for Dundee and the league, SFA, Scottish football in a whole, because there's already people pointing the finger, at the game in general up here, and that's not really helping us, the full situation. Was it 5 games they've had called off this season already? They've known since January probably that the pitch isn't or hasn't been good enough, although I think they've 2.5 million losses this year. So have they got the money to upgrade the pitch? If not, then there's got to be something else put in place, or they need to go to the SFA to say we might have games cancelled here. Is there an alternative for somewhere to play? But I don't know if they've been that proactive in doing that.
Yeah, well, we need to pick up on the point that you made there about the fact that they've known since January that the pitch has been in trouble. The groundsman has changed. Mm-hmm. What's happened to the money they're spending on it? Have they been preparing properly with that? Have they allocated the appropriate money? Do we need to see an SPFL putting laws in place that says if you're going to be in the top flight, never mind the argument over AstroTurf, you now need to have groundsmen, and you need to put in the effort that every other SPFL club seems to be putting in place.
Yeah, I think you need to put the money in, Peter. But Dundee ripped their pitch up in the summer. I mean, they put a new pitch down in the summer. So the problem is, clearly for me, is the people who's been working on it. And as you said, I think it was Brian Robertson who was there when I was there at Dundee, groundsman, and his son were there for numerous years, Peter, and they've been laid off for whatever reason. I don't know the ins and outs of it at Dundee, but whoever's come in, they've not been any better than the guys that have left. And I think you're spot on. I think that there's got to be money invested in a pitch. They did dig it up and put a new surface down in the summer. I don't know how much money they paid for it, but clearly it wasn't enough, because they're the only club in the top flight, and everybody's getting the same weather, Peter, as Jig said there. Dundee United's pitch is perfect, pristine condition. They're looking after it. They've got good groundsmen. I don't think Dundee have, and I think that's where the main finger has got to be pointed at the people that's employed to look after the pitch at Dundee.
And the other aspect of it, which I think Philip Clement has rightly pointed out, if Rangers have offered to play that game on the Thursday, then get the game played, Ruffy. If you're suddenly turning around and saying, no, we don't want to play it for particular reasons, the SPFL needs to quickly adjudicate and say, listen, although you've got a big game coming up to try and get you into the top 6, this is title stuff at the top end also for Rangers. So both teams have something at stake. And if Rangers said they want to play it on the Thursday, in my mind, the SPFL should have been strong and said, look, we're taking it out of your hands. It's going to be played here because we have to have these games played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said that earlier. I think it's somebody higher up needs to be starting making decisions like this, because it is very important. I would say it's probably more important for Rangers than it is Dundee. They've got a lot to go for. But I don't know, is the Rangers game on a Sunday?
Yes.
And the Dundee game this week would be on the Saturday?
Yes.
So Dundee are saying, no, we're not playing it on the Thursday because we've got a game on the Saturday. But Rangers are saying, yeah, we're okay, we'll play it because our game isn't a Sunday. So Dundee are looking after themselves and Rangers are looking after themselves.
Yeah, but if I was the SPFL prior to that, knowing full well that the pitch is not in good condition, and you're suddenly asking a referee to go up again at 11 o'clock and then again were in a situation, I think it eventually was 1 o'clock and then pushed to 3 o'clock. If you're in that situation, you just take it out of their hands and say, listen, your pitch is not playable.
And the weather forecast was terrible, Peter.
Sorry?
The weather forecast as it went on.
Exactly. It didn't take a rocket scientist to work it out and say, look, the game's going to be played at Tannadice. It's 100 yards down the road. Organise it with Dundee United. Off you go.
Well, particularly I think Dundee United at Morton, you know, so that pitch would be playable this weekend. So again, you know, it's just the clubs, and we've seen it any time that there's voting comes up or whatever comes up, they just look after themselves instead of somebody saying, right, this is what's happening to you.
Yeah. The other aspect of this, which is again, the game's rescheduled for the 17th after the split, 4 days before Rangers play Hearts in the semi-final.
Yep, and if it is played on the pitch, you can go into a semi-final with heavy legs, because the pitch is terrible, and it has been for quite some time. The amount of sand on it, which will make it boggy and difficult to play on. But with the game getting played on the Wednesday, does that affect? Is it Hibs and Motherwell?
It could have it. They could know what they need to do,
which is an advantage.
Yes. Again, it's this is close to the situation we had a few years ago in this show, Tam, when Ruffy was part of WhatsApp Gate. You know,
the Partick Thistle and Dundee.
The big madness. We're now entering into the realms of stupidity, aren't we? Again.
Peter, it's mind-boggling. I don't understand how you can have
it's an embarrassment
a game.
For our league, isn't it?
How can you have a game after the split?
Yeah,
that's my point.
You have a game after the split, and listen, I know you're saying but Dundee, if they need a point, could possibly just sit in and park the bus. Yeah. Just need a point. I mean, I don't think it's going to affect. They're playing Rangers. If it was anybody else, maybe, but Rangers have obviously got to go.
Would you put the Motherwell Hibs game on at the same time? Postpone that for 3 days?
I think it's too late now to do that, but you could have.
That's probably the fairest thing to do, is it not?
Yeah, it would be, actually. But that's not going to happen.
How can you do the split if you don't know if Dundee's going to be in it?
Well, that was why the SPFL were adamant, Ruffy, that it needed to happen before the split. And now we're in a situation where suddenly that demand on the clubs is now no longer the case. The goalposts have been moved, and they can play after the split, which again calls into question. Some people could say the sporting integrity of the competition will be called into question as we move on to that Wednesday game, depending on how the whole thing pans out. So it's not great.
You're hoping Dundee got and beat Aberdeen, and that's it. And Saturday, if Dundee beat Aberdeen, that game's irrelevant for the split.
Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't take away the embarrassment of what has gone on. And of course, if anything, it highlights to me, again, a lack of leadership and being able to take a firm hand and dictate to clubs, if you cannot get your park in order and you cannot get a game on, we'll take it out of your hands and it's going to be played somewhere else. And find that place quickly, so that Rangers fans, Dundee fans, everybody knows the game's going to go on. In the end, Don Robertson checking that part late on was a farce, and it turned into a circus, because you're up there with it live on Sky. It's going right around it everywhere.
I'm sorry for him as well, Peter, the referee. Mm-hmm. He's having to come out facing music. You know, at 3 o'clock, 3:30, the pitch is not playing. Everybody's greeting and moaning at him. It's not his fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's just the latest farce that we've had to comment on. And of course, let's not forget that as well as that, Rangers have the small matter of the journey to Dingwall. Here's how it all fits in the fixtures for the weekend that we look forward to. Aberdeen against Dundee, Celtic against St Mirren, Hearts against Livingston, Motherwell will take on Hibs. It's St Johnstone against Kilmarnock, and on the Sunday it's Ross County against Rangers. And again, Rangers go into that situation knowing full well that Celtic will already have played St Mirren on the Saturday.
Yes, it'll kick off up in Dingwall. I think they'll just obviously looking for 3 points. It's start the game strongly. I think they'll have too much for Ross County, to be brutally honest.
We haven't had a chance to speak since the Old Firm game. What did you make of it?
The Old Firm game as a whole?
Yeah.
Probably for the neutral. I know you're going to say that. How many of them do you know?
in the area we were brought up, not many.
No, I know that. But I think it was probably quite an exciting game. Rangers didn't... Well, the first half, I thought Rangers were pretty poor for the standards that they've set since the new manager came in. Celtic looked good first half. The second half was really end to end, wasn't it? And a lot of chances. And could you argue a point each is a fair result? Possibly.
Yeah, I thought it was a fair result. But did you think you were in the deja vu, same movie again from early September when you watched that first half?
The place was bouncing, and into 17 seconds. 21 seconds, just went really quiet. And then I think everybody in the stadium, especially the next maybe 10-15 minutes after that first goal, but then they started to claw back and get in the game and got the goal, and it was actually second half, it was a really good game.
Yeah, and of course if you're going to equalise the game, Matondo, I mean, it was just an absolute worldie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember who the defender is, but shouldn't have let him inside.
Yeah.
It's like, I would imagine Brendan Rodgers would have been really no happy at that, because he scored the goal, was it 2-3 weeks before? Same sort of goal. So, yep, what an incredible finish, and probably fair result in the end as we're discussing.
Good advert for the game, Lee. Not technically a brilliant game, and mistakes aplenty, but good advert for the game for people who are looking again at the two of them going toe to toe in a bigger audience.
Great advert for the game. I think it was maybe record figures that watched it. There was a few mistakes, but I think you always get mistakes in Old Firm games. It's how you recover for the mistakes. But as a whole, really entertaining game. Lots of goals, and we've seen previous Old Firm games at 0-0 that have been a little bit boring, should we say. I think that game was really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Celtic against St Mirren, they can go 4 points clear if they can defeat St Mirren. As far as the injury front is concerned, Daizen Maeda is a problem with a tendon problem in his hamstring, and he'll miss the game. McGregor, training again. Scales looks as if he's a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously key players. McGregor, I didn't think he played particularly well last week. I don't think he doesn't look right, carrying an injury maybe. Maeda will be a blow. I think he offers you something in behind. You know, he's always willing to run in behind. He works hard. You know, he's a goal threat. He's obviously scored last week. Scales. Listen, I think Celtic, regardless of the team they put out, should have enough to beat St Mirren at home. I think St Mirren obviously are in the top 6 now. They'll still have harbouring hopes of maybe getting that 4th place, but I think they'll maybe be in that twilight zone, a 5th and 6th, where they can't go any higher or lower. So I think Celtic will win this game comfortably and put the pressure back on Rangers on the Sunday. Yeah,
this is what Brendan Rodgers had to say on the situation he's facing as far as team selection is concerned. Daizen Maeda will miss the weekend, and we'll just need to see. He has an injury high up in his hamstring, in his tendon, and we'll have to see what that looks like in the coming weeks. He's certainly not available for the weekend. It's one that the medical team will look at and see where that goes. Then we will understand what inclusion you will have between now and the end of the season. Interesting. Just out of curiosity, where do you see the advantage now, if there is any, in this run-in? Is there slip-ups out with the Old Firm game, or is it down to who wins at Celtic Park and wins the title?
I think we've been quite consistent. Well, I have been at it this season, but I think teams will take points off of Celtic Rangers. I don't think they will now, Peter. I think it's
your mind?
Yeah. I think it's now. You're in there.
Are you backing your kind of a daily record?
No. I think no,
sack him, keep him.
No.
It looks as if he's got what it takes. No, he's a dud.
I think the teams now. Celtic Rangers have got tunnel vision. I think Hearts have got 3rd tied up. I think Kilmarnock have got 4th tied up, and the other have nothing to play for. I don't think there's going to be particularly hard games in the top 6. And I think it comes down to that one game at Parkhead. Celtic will get into that, obviously big favourites. I think Rangers have not beat them in a while at Parkhead. Celtic will be happy with the point, kicking themselves that they never got to 3, but a draw was a decent result for Celtic, Peter. And I think Celtic win every game for now at the end of the season to win the league.
Is that a change for you? Did you change?
No, I think I've been quite consistent with Celtic this season to win the league, but I think they win every game for now at the end of the season to win the league. I think they're getting players back now, Peter.
How do you see it
in the first half?
How do I see what the outcome, or how do I see?
Do you think it's advantage now to? Is it going to be down to that game at Celtic Park?
Yes.
Yeah. Winners takes all, or draw for Rangers might be good enough.
Might be. I can't see the Old Firm dropping points, so it will come down to that game for me.
Yeah,
I think that's so.
I've said it all along. the split for me. The fixture are 3 at home, 2 away. Whoever maybe get Hearts at Tynecastle or Kilmarnock at Rugby Park will put a wee bit added pressure on, because I think they're difficult places to go. I think St Mirren have run their race, you know, although they still can maybe get into Europe. But for me, it's the 3 home games is going to be really important, and it'll be interesting to see who they get in the 3 home games. I mean, I don't know if Rangers are going to get 3 home games or Celtic going to get 2.
Celtic get 3 home games.
And Rangers have got
3.
So they're away 3. So, I mean, if Rangers were to get Tynecastle, Kilmarnock, you know, it's tough games.
Yeah.
Celtic, obviously.
Yeah.
Rangers have Celtic away.
So, it's going to be interesting. And stick with us here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thank you to so many of you who are tuning in and enjoying our content right across the board, from the Women's Football Show, Straight Talk, and not forgetting, of course, the journos, as well as the Football Show Monday and Friday and Saturday morning with Kerry, Ruffy and Tam as well. There's lots of variety, including, of course, our reporters bringing you all the latest breaking news. So if you download the app as well, you'll have it at your fingertips. And with that in mind, of the 2 games, Ross County Rangers, what's your prediction, Ruffy?
I'm going to get Rangers to win this very comfortably, 2-0.
Well, comfortable 2-0. Okay, I've got it 2-1 for Rangers.
3-0. Rangers.
3-1 to Rangers.
Okay, and Celtic against St Mirren, Ruffy.
I'm going to go Celtic to have a comfortable 2-0.
Well, another comfortable 2-0. You're just going all the way to the end of the season.
Celtic 3-1.
3. That's what I've got. 3-0.
3-0.
3-0. Okay. Just out of curiosity, I noticed, and congratulations to Mikey Johnson, picked up the Championship Player of the Month for West Brom. I get the feeling Mikey Johnson will just come back in the summer and say, "Thank you, Brendan, I'm off."
Yeah, and listen, I think a lot of Celtic supporters were quite happy he left Peter. I don't think they rated him. The majority of the Celtic support, I think he struggled at times to deal with the size of the club and the expectations. I think he's went down there unknown quantity, because down there he's been brilliant for West Brom. He's been down there, he's enjoying his football, there's less pressure on him. And Celtic will be happy, because if he goes down there and keeps playing the way he's playing down at the end of the season, but West Brom in the playoffs, you know, if they go to the Premier League, you know, they might pay 10 million for him. You know, and Celtic would have been quite happy to take a couple of £1 million from him. You know, if West Brom get promoted and he's flying, Celtic will demand a big fee for him. And I didn't think that was possible until he went down there. So
how many years did he get left?
I don't know the length of his contract, Peter.
Yeah. I'm not sure of the length of his contract, but I'll phone Charlie Adam tonight. I think it's about...
I knew you were going to say Charlie Adam.
I'll be lucky to get to... I think they'll be lucky to get £250,000 and a Quenchie Cup.
If West Brom get into the Premier League and he gets them there, they'll pay a big dough for him.
Yeah, I miss Charlie. Do you, Ruffy? It was just fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
just
like any time. Who was it? Dembele was the best one.
Yeah, he did.
Dembele was the best.
Yeah, he was like, thought he was going to be traded for Reggie Blinker at one point in Charlie's chat. But Ruffy says St Mirren have run their course. We'll see about that. Kerry Pollock was speaking to Stephen Robinson.
Weekend St Mirren take on Celtic, and despite going up against the league leaders, Stephen Robinson maintains his side are under no pressure heading into tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it's, you know, we only got 2 points, I believe, after the split. So it's, can you better that? Can you beat the team that finishes in 6th place when it eventually gets decided? And can you push on and try and catch Kilmarnock again? You know, the teams above us got a few points. You've got to start beating each other to bring them back into contention with yourselves. But we're in a potential European position at the moment, and it's for up to us to go and kick on, enjoy. We're under absolutely no pressure. Nobody should really expect what we've done, even though it has risen the expectations of the football club. But we're in a position now to go and play without fear and go and enjoy the rest of the season.
Having now secured a place in the top 6, the Buddies have their hearts set on a European spot as they want their hands on that 4th place finish.
So we've richly deserved the position we're in. We sit in 5th place, which, you know, people out with the club and don't really understand the parameters that we work with will probably not realise the sense of achievement, but we certainly do. Are we going to rest on our laurels? No. We want to kick on. We want to get into Europe. We want to try and catch 4th place. So there'll certainly be no rest up. There hasn't been this week. And we'll go and enjoy trying to do that.
Can the Buddies steer their way up the Premiership table, or will Celtic extend their lead at the top? Kick-off takes place at Celtic Park at 3 o'clock.
Okay, it's still all to play for after the split, but they'll be putting in all the effort possible to try and get that 4th place. 5 points the difference. Will they catch them?
Nope.
Okay, Aberdeen against Dundee. Ruffy, even before we talk about this game, Aberdeen have released a lengthy statement on the failure of Hawkeye. This is, of course, the Bojan Miovski's late goal, which it's just, again, it's turned into a farce. VAR decided that Angus MacDonald was offside in the build-up to that late 92nd minute goal in last weekend's game. Aberdeen have requested transcripts from the disallowed goal and were informed of the failure of Hawkeye, which we know is used to determine offside. So the key points on VAR that Aberdeen are highlighting here. The Hawkeye system failed in the lead up to Bojan Miovski's 92nd minute goal, so the VAR referees were unable to rely on reliable calibrated lines to determine with certainty if Angus MacDonald was offside or otherwise. The SFA accepted there is no conceivable way VAR could tell definitely the deepest position of Livingston defender Daniel Mackay, because from the only available angle available, the lower half of the body is completely obscured from view. That's obviously the first part of this. Second part, it was acknowledged by all in attendance at the meeting that VAR had to guess on what the position might have been based on the limited information available. And finally, the version of VAR that Scottish football can afford is not suitable for purpose. It highlights the limitations in the technology, the inappropriate implementation, and the consistency of decision making. Well, yet again, Ruffy, they need to invest more money in a better system then.
Yeah, if that's the case, if we have got a system that's inferior to a lot of other countries because of what we've paid to get it, then we've got to improve it. But it's not the first time. I think it happened at Motherwell. Didn't it? The line was sort of
Jota.
I mean, the last statement is just, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, well, look at the picture. I mean, this is what they're having to go on, and this is really where I think a number of people are looking and saying to themselves,
what's the matter with that?
I mean, I'm looking
at it,
and I'm saying if that's the picture that they're determining on this, that's fine, but it's when eventually that information is relayed to everyone. Two things have happened. One, the Hawkeye has failed, and then they've looked at it based on that picture which has been released to them. I think, again, from their point of view, Aberdeen are unhappy. Aberdeen are, it does actually. Yeah, Aberdeen are unhappy.
November 19.
The boy at the back, but is 19's not interfering. 19's not interfering when it played.
Who does the ball go to?
The only way, right at the back post, the only way 19 is offside there is if he blocks one of the Livingston players coming back on the line.
Right, so
it's the player closest to the picture.
Right, that's what we're looking at.
It goes back post.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's the player,
so it could be on. It could be on there.
It's the player
potentially
closest to the
could be
picture.
on there.
Yes. So this whole thing would have been cleared up easily by a Hawkeye that was working. The other thing it would clear it up is if they'd all embraced the Arsene Wenger proposal, which is quite simply clear.
Yeah. I think that'll come in.
Between one player and the other. If a player,
I'd love that to come in.
It just favours the goals.
Yep.
It's an entertainment. If there's clear daylight between the player who's a defender and the attacker, then he's offside. If you even see an arm playing him on, he's in. It's a goal.
If you need to draw a line, Peter, he's onside. I'll keep it brief.
Yes.
See, if you need to draw a line to see if somebody's offside, he's no.
That's what we missed about you. You know, that brevity that you bring to the show. You know, there's no point in
Peter.
Elaborating. That's why Tam is.
I scored an extra 12 goals.
Tam's here for puns and brevity. Yeah, exactly. Another 12 goals to your tally if that had been an opposition.
Who was it that came up with the two lines?
It
Just a wee bit of green.
It was just a guy. Actually. Yeah.
So that's not what they seen on
that line up
on match day that day. That's not what VAR seen, because in the statement they said it was guess.
It was guesswork.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the lines.
They didn't have the lines because Hawkeye couldn't do it.
Right.
So, and of course, the other aspect of it, which I think is a complaint from Aberdeen, is it is an inferior setup of Hawkeye, not the one that
compared to
England Premier League.
Compared to the English Premier
Do
League.
they know?
I don't think
they know
you could.
3 or more different cameras than us.
They've got double the amount of
something
cameras
like that.
we've got.
Listen,
But that comes down to money.
It's all down to money, by the way. And when you hear earlier in the season David Martindale talking about the use of VAR and how it affected his budget
100 grand, wasn't it?
It's one or two players. That's the nature of it. That's what we've had to embrace. But if we want to really kind of make it an entertainment where you get goals and you see goals that will entertain and get people watching your game, then you need to start favouring them in an offside decision. Get the attackers given the benefit of the doubt.
Is our VR and Hawkeye with a fire stick?
Hey, yeah, I think it's made by Fisher Price. It's a great system. Do you remember do you remember Etch a Sketch, Ruffy?
I remember Etch a Sketch.
You know the Beatles will split up. I don't know why I'm wasting my time.
And you Etch a Sketch, you drew his picture, then you shake it, it goes away.
Absolutely.
Remember that, Ruffy?
You don't remember that?
Well, the reason why you don't remember it is because Lee and I.
My grandchildren have got that.
Lee and I got it because it was cheap for our Christmas, whereas you wouldn't have had that. Exactly.
It's a beauty.
Jack still uses it.
Magnetic football.
Yeah.
Did you have a magnetic football? No.
I had
You
Super
had a magnet
Striker.
underneath and you moved it.
Yeah. Do you remember Super Striker, where you put the ball and you pushed the player's head?
Oh, aye.
And then I had Subbuteo, ruined by my sister who stood all over the men on the.
I asked my dad one year to get me a good Christmas present, a good football Christmas present. I got below football.
Below football?
Yes, I
It's a
remember
straw with a
that. A straw. That was basic.
It was
wasn't
all
it?
over the place.
Your dad gave up his ration book for that. You're so ungrateful. By the way, as far as Aberdeen are concerned, Peter leaving, he's like anybody connected with Aberdeen right now. No point in moaning anymore. You just got to move on.
At the time, they said there was a fault with the VAR. Then obviously they gave the goal, and I thought it was fixed at the time. I didn't realise till Monday, Tuesday when they said it was an educated guess. So it's frustrating, but end of the day, I can't change anything now. It's happened at the time, so we just need to move on from that. I need to move on. I've never seen them overturn 3 days later and give us an extra 2 points. So there's no point in getting angry about the past. I can't change it. Nobody can change it. So I just need to focus on tomorrow and get the 3 points.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes we should release what happens in between these manager interviews when these two are
I'd love
blithering.
to see them get out of the screen.
Sorry about
With
that.
happening, noise there. What's happening? I don't know. It's no happening. What are you going to do?
That's what
Just
Aberdeen have
something
asked for, isn't it? That's what Aberdeen have asked for. They've asked for the communications.
By the way, can I just say something to you? When
going to make something up quick. I'm going to get back and make a decision.
quick draw a line. I have to tell you, by the way, if I was in the VAR room, I'd be stressed out of my nut with that. Would you not?
That's their job.
I know, but can you imagine somebody turns
No,
right to
it's
you
like
and
being
you're
a
the
referee.
You're the VAR official who goes, by the way, that's not working. You know, it's your worst nightmare. So, on to matters which will affect Aberdeen next season. Elfsborg boss Jimmy Thelen seems he's the man who's going to get the job in June. Now, everything that we read about him, obviously we've put up a little piece on his style of play. He likes a high press. So we're going to see a different style of Aberdeen. We're certainly going to see a totally different side. I would imagine if they've got the dosh to give this manager some backing, you might see 4 survive.
Yeah, I think there'll be a fairly large clear out of Aberdeen this summer when this guy comes in, Jimmy Thelen. And the thing is, he's got a good record in Sweden with Elfsborg. I looked at his win percentage, very high. He's done really well with them. He's got them up the leagues. And listen, I think every managerial appointment's a gamble, Peter. But you know, he's got a good pedigree, and I think he'll be well back to Aberdeen. Managers need time. There's no point in getting him in if he's going to be under pressure after 6 months. So they need to give him the time to get his own players in. They might look at the Scandinavian market and bring some players in as well. And wish him all the best because it's a big job, Aberdeen. And if obviously Aberdeen in the bottom 6 this season, I think that's good for him coming in. You know, because the expectations are lowered. So if he can go and improve them next season, then it looks better for him.
If anything, this is a situation where, and I take also on board that Jim Goodwin had a bit of experience, but this guy ran Malmo close to the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think every managerial job they put in, it's always a gamble. It doesn't. I mean, there's been big managers done particularly well with a club and went somewhere and it's no worked. I think it all boils down to the players on the park and where he's going to identify these players and the money, as you've touched on it as well. I think this owner has learned his lesson, you know, that he needs to get it right and he needs to get proper players in there who are going to fight for the club.
Yeah, okay.
This will be the first manager that Aberdeen that Dam's not been pals with.
which is
On
a
a Monday,
really...
you know, he used to come in and tell us on a Monday
All the stories.
how they were all feeling and what
This is... by the way, let's not rule it out. I bet you he tries to become his pal on Twitter and Facebook over the course of the next couple of weeks. The permutations of Dundee win at Pittodrie. They'll take that remaining top 6 spot before they even play Rangers. A draw for Dundee is also enough to cement top 6. That's if Hibs draw or lose to Motherwell, which we're going to talk about shortly. If Dundee lose at Aberdeen, they'll fall out of the top 6 regardless. And then they'll get another chance with that match, the rescheduled one against Rangers, which, again, I'm not speaking here a ton, I think it would be highly unlikely, but are they making top 6 just as a...
Dundee?
Yeah.
Aye, I think they will, Peter.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they'll make it.
Okay, I think Motherwell are going to sneak it, Ruffy. What about you?
No, I think Hibs are going to come up with the goods.
Yeah. Lee?
What way do you think Dundee will do it? Because
I think Dundee will get a point against Aberdeen.
And that'll be enough.
And I don't think Hibs will beat Motherwell.
Yeah,
think that might be a
because Motherwell
draw.
still get something to play for.
If Motherwell need Dundee to lose to get into the top 6 and them to win.
Yeah. I'm with Tam. Dundee.
Dundee for
I
you?
think Dundee will get a
was
point
just
at
asking
Aberdeen.
that there, like-
Dundee will get a point at Aberdeen, and I think Motherwell will draw or beat Hibs.
Okay, there you have. Motherwell against Hibs. Motherwell sit 8th. This could be the most unbelievable finish because they've got everything to play for. I watched Hibs last week, Ruffy, and honestly, to lose to St Johnstone, who were, you know, the incentive was not really to get out of their own half. They were turgid to watch, and Hibs again. I just thought they were really poor. The back line still hasn't been addressed.
Yeah, well, I don't know where I am with Hibs, because every time I come in here, somebody keeps telling us they've got great players and they're coming on and they should have him, and we're on a run now and everything's going to change, and then it's a defeat.
Yeah. Well, I have to be honest with you, Lee.
I'm fed up saying
If you know, sometimes on this programme I think, okay, I'm quite happy with his erratic nature because we get the chance to leather him. But if you read his column in the Daily Record, that is more erratic than anything, by the way. If I was the guy who was actually writing it for him, because I know he can't write, I would be looking and thinking to myself, really? Will you change from one week? He's like the weather cockerel. It's unbelievable.
I think with Hibs, the Hibs have been so up and down though. I think that's where it's coming from, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Hibs deserve to be in the top 6 after the season they've had. I would say no, which would sound very controversial to a lot. With Motherwell, I'm not too sure either. I think Dundee would deserve it if they get that spot, but I can see a draw in this game. I think I'd love for Motherwell to do it for obvious reasons, for Stuart Kettlewell as well. I think he's had a lot to deal with this season, with ups and downs and good form then bad form. So, but I can't see it. I can just see Dundee pipping them, and I think that'll be at like one each.
Kerry Pollock was out there to hear the thoughts of Stuart Kettlewell.
Motherwell are preparing to take on Hibernian this weekend in what will be their final game before the split. The message here at Fir Park, however, it is clear as ever. Win the game and you give yourself a chance. Lose or drop points and you are destined to the bottom half of the table. But despite the situation at Dens Park and Dundee still having another game still to play, according to Stuart Kettlewell, that changes nothing in his mindset.
Do you call it sporting integrity? Do you call it just simply that manager's mindset, that game plan, that tactical element of what happens within the game on Saturday? But where I'm being really clear here is that doesn't impact me whatsoever, because I know what my task is and I know what the task is of the players, and the only way we give ourselves a chance is by picking up 3 points, and even at that it might still not be enough, but that's what we just need to centre around at this minute.
Motherwell are unbeaten against Hibernian in their opening 2 encounters against Hibs this season. But Stuart Kettlewell this afternoon mentioned he is wary about the quality they possess in the final third.
What it can be, as I say though, is it can't just be gung-ho and you're leaving yourself wide open to the quality that Hibs have. So again, we're going to have a decent structure behind the ball. We're going to have to probably suffer in moments as well, because I say that they're pretty good at keeping possession. You know, you watch them just recently, Ibrox, they're bold and they're brave and they make the pitch big and they try and stay on the ball and they try and progress the ball through the thirds. So there's going to be times where where that happens here on Saturday. And in that first 5 minutes, what we can't have is everyone thinking that we're just going to blow this game out the water and that we should be standing with 10 outfield players in attacking positions all the time, because that's not what it's going to be.
Will it be Motherwell or Hibernian that book their place in the top 6, or will both teams fall short to Tony Docherty's Dundee? It kicks off here at Fir Park at Saturday at 3 p.m.
Yeah, apologies to anyone listening on the podcast because Kerry's voice is broken, and for us here, she visited the barbers and decided to go in and ask for some orange curly hair.
That's what Jim Spence.
Yes, could have a Jim Spence haircut. She's changed dramatically. But my apologies. Patrick Mullen was the person out there at Motherwell giving us the insight into Stuart Kettlewell and how he views the game. You just got to take care of it for yourself. As for Hibernian, Nick Montgomery, I think, obviously Hibs will look at the sporting integrity of Dundee playing after the split as well, and they'll know exactly what they need to do. The Hibs boss, like myself, pointed out that there should have been other stadiums where that game should have been played.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think that you'd learn from mistakes in the past, and I think that's been the mistake this week. So hopefully moving forward, that's something that they can be better prepared for, because there's enough stadiums, enough grounds where the game shouldn't be called off in 2024 in March. So yeah, I suppose definitely the clubs and the league can learn from it, because I think it has to be a point where you have to make a decision, and if not, obviously there has to be consequences if the games are getting regularly called off.
Results and performances will determine a manager's fate. The Hibs fans at Easter Road booed at the end of that game. They were not happy. They were giving Ben Kinsella a fair shout from the stands, as well as letting the team know exactly what they thought of the performance. You think he'll get another transfer window?
Yeah, I do, Peter. I think it's too early to be sacking another manager. I think when you look at the last 2 seasons, I think Hibs are on their 4th manager, and you can't just keep emptying the manager, and Nick's going to get, I think Nick will get, regardless, he'll get another transfer window. I think he'll get the summer.
Even with the changes that are up?
Even if he gets in the top 6 or bottom 6, he'll get in the summer, Peter, to get more players in. And then I think you'll get the start of next season. And if it's still not any better, then I think there will be a decision to be made. But I think you've got to give them time. You've got to have a wee bit of patience with the team and see where they are in the summer. But I've tipped Hibs to win all season, enough every week, and I'm going to tip them to draw and hope that they win. But I just don't think you were at the game last week, Peter. They're poor at the back, and I think Motherwell were poor at the back. So this game could be a lot of goals in this game. But I just don't think Hibs have got enough defensively to win this game. And I think it'll be 2 each.
Okay, I've got Motherwell to win it. Ruffy?
No, I'm going to stick my neck out and go for Hibs. I think at some games we've seen something there. I agree with sometimes when Tam comes in and says he looks as if he's a good player, and I keep waiting for the consistency level. Consistency level's not there, but it's down to one game now, and I would think they've got enough there in one game to go there and beat them. Yeah,
I wouldn't place all your faith in what Tam says on whether a player's any good or not, because Lee, in the next 5 years, if we don't see a glut of players getting into the international side, eventually you and I are going to have to pass comment on whether Tam should be sacked as an FA coach.
Well, you've got Billy Gilmore and Nathan Patterson as 2, aren't they?
Scotland won the World Cup in 10 years. He won the World Cup.
So we want at least 2 of that standard.
Yeah, I like
2 English Premier League football players represent their country.
Yeah,
so on you, from
the Brakehurst camp.
Yes.
And the reason why I liked it there was you were saying that you had that cold stare. You mean it. So I'm quite happy with that. We shall see St Johnstone against Kilmarnock. Ruffy, it's a hard watch. St Johnstone. I mean, honestly, you couldn't deny Craig Levein. He loves a win at Easter Road, and he was sitting there happy as Larry. But they were hard to watch. They were passing, going nowhere. Yeah. They had one counter attack that Sidibe took the goal really well. But other than that, they weren't great to watch. I think they might still just have enough to escape Ross County.
I think they all seem to be fighting for each other. That one last week will give them a wee bit of a lift, get into the game. I think they're beginning to get into the mode of picking up a point here and there, to get them out of the trouble. But Ross County's got difficult games coming up, so I think St Johnstone maybe get a draw out of this one.
Against Kilmarnock, I'm not so sure. It's an interesting one. What do you think, Lee?
I think Kilmarnock are on the. I think they've got a little bit of consistency going back, coming back. I think they've got players playing with confidence. It'll be a difficult game on a difficult pitch again, but I see Kilmarnock even their forward line are too good.
Yeah.
Van Veen, I think he's still to come.
Yeah.
I think we'll see him. We need to see him
before the end of the season.
We've got to. He must have been playing in all the.
Keeps banging the goals in.
He could play the two of them, couldn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And maybe drip
Watkins
him in.
as well.
Marla Watkins doing really well. I see 2-0 Kilmarnock.
Okay, well listen, there's a European spot up for grabs, and it's really all or nothing. Derek McInnes knows what he has to do, and he's been speaking to Kerry Pollock.
Kilmarnock now find themselves 5 points clear in fourth place of the Premiership table. Kelly boss Derek McInnes says he's been impressed with the numbers his side have produced so far this season, but has reminded them it all goes for nothing if they're not in that European spot come May.
No, but I think what the players have done over the last period, been outstanding. They're really punching above their weight, really doing, going above and beyond in terms of level of performances. We've got 31 goals for our front three effectively, and we've got, I think, our 16th clean sheet of the weekend there. So both ends of the pitch we're coming up trumps with some good numbers, but it still counts for nothing now unless we get to finish a job, and we want to finish a job, and we've got 6 games to do that.
Up next is a journey to McDermott Park to take on Craig Levine's St Johnstone side, and the Kelly boss says despite the Saints' position in the league table, they will be a Premiership club next season.
We're under no illusions, our away form has been much better, and we're going to have to put a big performance in on Saturday at McDermott to get something for the game against a team who are highly motivated, and I believe will stay in the league. I think they will stay in the league. I think there's enough know-how there, both in the staff and in the playing squad. But we will feel a strong St Johnstone team playing all out to win a game, and we've got to be ready for that. And the intention is to give them a tough game on Saturday as well.
Can Kilmarnock take that one step closer to a place in Europe next season? We'll find out. Kick-off this weekend is in Perth at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I love seeing Derek. He just retains that glow as if he's been on holiday every week. I'm not sure. I don't think Derek is wearing those big giant paper pants and then he gets the Ross from Friends spray tan. He just looks immaculate, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been like for a wee while now. Obviously, we've been up at Aberdeen, which isn't the warmest place in the world. He decided, to just get it topped up.
I think he's got one of the membership cards at Indigo Sun.
Yeah.
9 minutes every time.
Yeah.
There are other sunbed companies.
Yeah, there are. Honestly, 11 years with you, 11 years, and you're well aware of, you need to mention everybody and other sunbed makers as well. Well done, Ruffy, I love it from you. But nevertheless, did I ask you, Kelly?
2-1 to Kelly.
Yeah, we've all got
one
Kelly.
each.
Yeah, I've got Kelly to win it as well. Hearts against Livingston. Hearts third, 11 points clear of fourth place Kilmarnock, so they know exactly what they'll be doing. And then, of course, it's the semi-final to come. It's quite surprising. I'm surprised. I've got 4,000 unsold tickets for the semi-final.
So I've obviously experienced being at the club, massive club, and the big debate was did they get the 50-50 split, and they got it. And what would you say, the 4,000 short?
Yeah, and there's
still a hell of a following going.
But they could actually, it might affect their future allocation. Obviously, that argument comes into play again.
It's a little bit like the Aberdeen argument
yeah,
for the Fruit Cup
they're
final.
going to pick up the slack on the money. They're going to have to pay for them.
Well, it was their decision that to get the 50-50 split. They obviously thought that all tickets would be sold, and it's just unfortunate for them if they don't get them sold, and then there'll be a big bill to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the game is concerned, they are playing against a side that, I think we've all agreed have gone. So you would imagine Hearts will come out on top in this one.
Yeah, I think Livingston just a matter of time, unfortunately, for them. They're running out of games. They don't look as if they're going to put 2 or 3 wins together at any point. They haven't all season, and it's just a matter of time. I think Hearts will win this game comfortably. I think Lawrence Shankland, I believe he'll be back tomorrow as well. So I can only see a comfortable win at Tynecastle for Hearts.
I'll tell you one thing though that they won't want, Ruffy, is in these games now with Hearts, in a commanding position in third, guys like Lawrence Shankland that will be wary. They won't want to pick up any injuries all the way through to the end of the season now with what's at stake.
Yeah, well, personally for him, club level and international level, the Euros are getting nearer and nearer as well. But I think most of the Hearts boys will be determined to play in this game. They'll know that semi-final's coming up. They'll all want to be a part in it. You don't want to pick up injuries, when it gets so close. But I think I'd rather be playing than not playing.
Prediction?
3-0 Hearts.
Yep, I've got that. Lee?
5-0 Hearts.
5-0 Hearts.
Shankland hat-trick.
Okay, there you are. That's what's happened when you went away. He decided just to go into
right for it.
He decided.
No hesitation there either.
Comfortable 2-0 to Hearts.
Yeah, if Lee just looked at your column and went, well, if he can write this, I'm just going to be a wee bit more forthright, in my opinion. The downside to it all, Ruffy, and I think all of us will agree on this, Victoria Pilsen, the draw with Fiorentina means that they get that necessary point for the Czech Republic. We drop out of the top 10 UEFA rankings. So next season's Scottish Premiership winners won't qualify. This season they'll go in automatically, but next season they won't qualify automatically, and suddenly you're in a playoff fixture again.
Yeah, people will be blaming this and that for it. Obviously, I personally think Rangers get away with this one. I think the last 2 or 3 years they've been the mainstay of advancing in tournaments. I think Celtic have failed miserably in the Champions League, and the other teams, Scottish teams who have been in Europe, have been pretty poor.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we can debate it. Rangers have been flying the flag, and apart from the odd result, the rest of them have been woeful, and something needs to change. I did suggest in the journals in midweek that maybe some clubs should start to be looking at the way they go about their recruitment, because Hearts have decided to go and try and bring more homegrown players in for next season. Maybe clubs have got to start looking and saying, what's the best Scotland has to offer, and then try and be a wee bit more clever in signing players from abroad, and put a little bit more effort in. I give you the situation where we were talking about it there. Melkerson played for Hibs. He's $9,000 a week. That's two Tony Watts.
Would you want to, Tony Watt?
I'd take two. For me personally,
I love Tony Watt. He's unbelievable.
I'd take two Tony Watts over a Melkerson that somebody suggested from another league who comes in and doesn't do anything. And Hibs are absolutely flooded with them. The amount of clubs who've brought players in and they just can't adapt to our game.
Why are they in?
Well, this is it, the recruitment process. I think somewhere in the strategy, I'm not saying that Scottish players are all the answer, but sometimes I think it would be better pushing the boat out.
Well, Hearts are doing it well, Peter.
I think
the
they are.
last couple of seasons, your Alan Forrests, your Halketts, and guys like that. Obviously, they've got Blair Spittle, Penrice, and Danda. So they're getting guys that have. You're right, they're not really league, Peter.
Tried and tested.
And and if you're only going to go and sign players from abroad if they're better than what you've got. And I believe a lot of Scottish teams are just signing players who are no any better than what they've got here in Scotland, and just because they're foreign, the fans will like it's a foreign name, it's a fancy name. I just don't get that at all. I think you should be looking. Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen should be looking on their own doorstep and cherry picking your Ross Counties, your Livingstons. Maybe even lower down your Falkirks, Dunfermline, teams like that, and we're not. Hearts are the only one that have done that and done it successfully in the last couple of seasons.
And by the way, I'm not saying, Ruffy, that Scottish players are the answer, because I think, I'm going to be brutally honest here, the standard in Scottish football in the last couple of years has dropped dramatically. So I'm not saying that all Scottish players are the answer, because the best of the Scottish players are immediately cherry picked to go down south. But there are more than a few that you could actually go for, rather than paying for foreign players who have come in who just haven't cut it. I mean, I would even have gone earlier for a Lawrence Shankland before a Sam Lammers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I think tried and tested in this league, it's a really difficult league to play in compared to foreign leagues that are much slower. We might not have the quality of the foreign leagues, but we've got the intensity. Yeah. And you need to be able to handle the intensity. You need to be able to take the ball when there's pressure on you. And I think it's part and parcel of Scottish football. It's what makes it exciting. And there is good young Scottish players out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, prior to the situation with West Brom, you know, if you look at some of the money that's been spent, Ruffy, boy, I'd have pushed the boat out to get a Mikey Johnson. Do you know what I mean? And
For a Hibs or a Hearts or a...
Absolutely. You know, you'd have pushed the boat out because he wasn't part of it. Suddenly you could have tested them rather than put out all the money on somewhere else.
Well, it's not the first time that a player like that playing at a big club just hasn't worked for him for whatever reason. Like we touched on it, maybe can't handle the pressures, the day-to-day pressures, and then the Saturday comes, he's not playing regular, he just gets thrown in and all, he's got to turn it on and it doesn't happen. I saw a lot in Mickey, I saw a lot of games when he come on and you would go, well, if he could get a bit of consistency, and they've taken him and they saw what they could get. But you would thought, just as you said there, if you'd went to a Hibs or a Hearts or an Aberdeen or whatever, you would think the pressure wouldn't be on him as much and you might get more out of him.
I'll tell you who'd be a great signing in the summer for a Hibs or a Hearts or an Aberdeen. James Forrest.
Yeah, great player. Great player. Look, his brother's actually hitting a bit of form. I know we're not talking about his brother, but James has been, 10 years, 11 years at Celtic?
Yeah, won everything.
Ridiculous amount of trophies he's won. It's up to James. What would he want to do if he left Celtic? I would imagine he wouldn't want to play for another team in Scotland. He'd rather go down to England, but that's me just completely guessing.
Maybe he wants to play every week.
And but I think he would want to go down to England.
And just as a footnote to that, Rangers have been flying the flag. If they win the league and the winner of the Champions League also has a position in their own respective league qualifying. So if they win the Champions League, but they also would have qualified finishing in their top four, and Rangers win the league, Rangers would automatically go into qualifying if they win.
Obviously, that'd be great for them. The Champions League, you've got... Who's your favourite? It's Man City.
Man City.
Who will be top four?
And Arsenal.
Easily. Arsenal, top four.
Bayern Munich.
Barcelona.
Barca. So I think it's only Borussia Dortmund would be potentially be the one.
Atletico, I think
if they went to
Atletico
fourth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all to play for.
Okay. Just a quick footnote before we go, Ruffy, on the Europa League. Didn't work out for you.
Stuffed, pumped, battered.
Thank you. I must admit, I was absolutely gobsmacked. Liverpool had so many chances. I mean,
gobsmacked. That's a different terminology.
I know. I was hacked off, and Lee and I know another line that you could use for that.
I was sitting in the house and where I am and coming old, and I said, I think somebody's threw something at a telly. The old park.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they were cuffed. The back line was woeful.
Oh, it's a horrendous result for Liverpool. Did you have aspirations of going to Dublin to go to the final?
I was thinking it was.
Is that why you're so angry?
Well,
they could still go and get
money back.
I wanted to actually make sure that my press pass with the UEFA was still up to date, so that I could go. But it looks like
one thing. I wouldn't rule them out going through.
3-0 down.
With the quality they've got, I would not rule that out. If they go to the next game, obviously, and get an early goal, anything can happen.
Well,
I'll rule it
to be honest with you, if you were going to the PFA...
I'm optimistic.
If you were going to the PFA Player of the Year awards and Liverpool did that, I would have just plonked a bottle of champagne down at your table and given you a glass. It's yours, big man. Just fire it. But sadly, no. Anyway, apart from that, hopefully you'll get involved with us. I don't know if you've seen the commercials out there, but Lee's getting a lot of attraction with our commercial for the football shows, and of course just that little ting as he smiles, everybody's commenting on it, and of course your little eyebrow movement is turned into a gif. It's turned into a gif and a meme. You name it, it's all there. They're all taking the mickey. Anyway, all we want you to do is hit the subscribe button if you can. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. We've got more than a few competitions coming up, and let's not forget the predictor as well. It's a big weekend as people try and get those points going into the last game before the split. So if you're involved in the predictor, make sure you take part in it this weekend. You don't want to slip up and forget to put your predictions in there. Kerry with Tam and Ruffy will be tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Don't forget, on Monday we'll be back with a review of all the weekend's football. Thank you to you for listening and thank you for watching.